measure if you're doing something in terms of the goals itself that might only appear after a long time. And it's difficult to hold decision makers or politicians or different actors accountable to them, because you cannot quite determine whether it's unforeseen events or preconditions, other drivers that make the goals come true or impede the goals rather than the policy actions. So therefore, it's useful to also put these contributing goals into the framework of the post-2015 development agenda. So we have sort of tentatively articulated 4 layers of contributing goals. And at the base layer, you have capacity development and knowledge sharing, which is really a foundation for societal development. The next layer is the governance arrangements and the institutional frameworks that enable us to make decisions and that enable us to coordinate our social activities in a broader sense. Then you come to, which is conditioned by these lower layers, you have public policy, the policy interventions necessary to direct behavior towards the goals. And then more concretely, the top layer, the concrete investments that are needed in the different societal development sectors, and who is financing them and at what level, etc. So these can all be measured, monitored, and different actors can be held accountable to them. So we then looked at how such a kind of architecture could be articulated for an example like energy. So energy is kind of an easy case because we know what the conditions are. We have a very strong kind of consensus about both the global energy challenge related to greenhouse gas emissions, but also related to universal access of basic energy services and consumption issues among rich societies and communities. So we can sort of map those items and start to discuss what the coherent whole of the energy post-2015 agenda could look like. And this connects to Laurence's point about pathways. We have as a basis a whole number of different global assessments. So this is one example of one of the scenarios of the global energy assessment that shows the global pathway of primary energy use that could be compatible with a safe climate 2-degree change target. So we have a sort of an overall view of the global public good situation on that aspect. Now in some subsequent work we did at SCI, we started to include discussions about how this breaks down into regional and national contexts, taking into account equity considerations and rights to development considerations. So as an example here, if India is permitted to represent a low-income country in our calculations, they can continue to grow their energy use all the way up to 2050. Whereas in Western Europe and other rich societies, we need to fairly immediately start to do absolute decoupling and reduce this energy use quite dramatically. And emerging economies and middle-income economies can continue to grow for a while, but ultimately have to do the absolute decoupling until they can go to 2030. So what we have done tentatively in the paper to the high-level panel is to articulate these 3 sets of goals for the energy side that corresponds to the 3 tiers at the top of the cake, so to speak. So we have people's well-being and the pursuit of the human aspirations, universal access to basic and collective energy uses, already a commitment in the Sustainable Energy Forum, but also energy sufficiency and consumption targets for the rich. At the middle ring, we have renewable energy supply. We have efficiency enhancements. We have infrastructure that are needed to supply these energy spaces. And in the top ring, we have greenhouse gas emissions, but also energy security and global market functioning, which are collective action problems that need to be resolved for the whole system to work. We have not yet been able to articulate the layers, the contributing goals. And I just want to end by saying that I think this is where you guys come in, and particularly in the three bottom layers. I think there's a lot of work to be done to understand what governance arrangements and mechanisms are required to induce the change in society that allows us to meet these goals at national and international levels. So this is work that we're continuing. We're going to do a sort of a drilling down a little bit into the national conditions for this and what it might look like for different type of countries. This is also, I give some credit to a new partnership that we have initiated with a number of research institutes and think tanks around the world that we've set up to sort of coordinate our knowledge and our research efforts and give a more unified feeding into the UN system, both the SDG process and the high-level. So we've called it the Independent Research Forum. And it's sort of not the most sexy name perhaps, but it's to show that we're not connected to the UN system in any way. We can operate totally independently from that. We are research-based, science-based, and it's a forum, so it's not a closed network, but we are inviting partners and both individuals and organizations to participate and join us in delivering the best possible evidence and knowledge for the political process here, because they desperately need it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much also for showing the concrete idea about how the SDG 2015 development goals should be